Why are you so energetic?
Ava was rushed to the hospital foaming at the mouth after drinking tea my husband brought. Yet, when I contacted him, he showed neither surprise nor concern. Instead, he seemed oddly bewildered that it wasn't me who had collapsed. It was as if he had been expecting something else entirely. Later, I discovered a shocking truth that left me reeling. What was the point of our entire marriage? Confused and disbelieving, my mind was in turmoil. Tears naturally spilled, but I clenched my fists, resolving to seek revenge. I am Sophia, 58 years old. How did it come to this? I found myself constantly pondering this, exhausted in both body and mind. My husband, once so kind, had changed. David no longer showed care or gave gifts. Even when I prepared birthday presents or arranged dinner for our anniversary, he often ignored them. Over 20 years of marriage, we might have become like air to each other, in both good and bad ways. There was no point in expecting anything from my husband anymore. I couldn't help feeling neglected and troubled. After our daughter married and left home 5 years ago, even birthday wishes from my husband ceased. But no matter how old I got, I felt a certain loneliness in our relationship. Before I knew it, my husband, working in a sales company, was 59. He used to be away often for work trips, but soon he would no longer be climbing the career ladder and we'd have more time together. Hey, how about going to a nearby cafe this weekend? I've just wrapped up a busy period at work and could use a change of scenery. I worked for a food manufacturer and hadn't seen much of my husband due to constant overtime, but that day seemed promising for spending time together. However, my husband didn't even look up from his newspaper.
Why do we have to do that? Let me be on my days off.
No, the truth is, we've stopped talking as a couple lately, haven't we? I thought maybe a change of scenery could spark some conversation. I revealed my true feelings, longing for him to understand my loneliness.
What are you talking about?
He slammed the newspaper on the table, visibly irritated.
We're not newlyweds. Act your age.
But I mean...
My colleagues Olivia and her husband never go out either. They just text everything on their phones.
I knew Olivia personally and was quite familiar with her. She's also 59, just like my husband, and we got married around the same time. She's beautiful and much more feminine than I ever was. My husband often compared me to her.
You should be more attentive to your surroundings, like her.
I had been continuously told that. Even Olivia doesn't talk much to her husband, so it's no wonder for someone like me. The loneliness never faded, but I convinced myself that maybe he was right after being told so by my husband. Since then, I tried to believe that maybe that's just how marriages are, and stopped thinking too deeply about it. This was 2 months before my birthday. Time passed, and on my 58th birthday, I managed to finish work early and got home before 5 p.m. I was expecting to spend it alone again anyway. At that time, my husband seemed busy with work, returning home after midnight and heading straight to bed every day, so I want to celebrate my birthday together, I never brought up the courage to say. While I was preparing to celebrate alone with shortcake I bought myself, he unexpectedly came home carrying a department store bag.
Here, this is for you.
When I opened the box he handed me, inside was a luxury brand necklace I had never worn before.
It's your birthday today, right? How is it? Do you like it?
I'm so happy, thank you. As I replied with a beaming smile, he scratched his head as if he was shy. He also brought some premium tea and sweets.
I've been thankful to Sophia all along, but just couldn't express it openly. Please take this as my feelings.
You... I had resigned myself to the idea that our marriage had become conversationless and indifferent. However, this surprise revealed his love for me, filling my heart and soul with warmth. Before I knew it, tears were naturally rolling down my face. I'm so happy.
Try it on.
I wiped my tears, put on the necklace, and checked the look in the mirror. My husband watched me with a smile. It was a moment I felt truly grateful to be married to him. But then he suddenly took out a suitcase from the closet.
I hate to say this on such a day, but I have to go on a week-long business trip.
Apparently,
get ready immediately and leave right away,
he said. While packing,
I'm sorry we can't celebrate properly.
He kept apologizing, but work is work after all. I was disappointed, but I sent him off with a smile.
By the way, that tea, don't mind me and finish it all, Sophia.
According to the salesperson, it was a special kind of tea leaf that should be consumed within half a day after opening.
Sorry, I had to open the package in the store to check the smell. Well, I have to go now.
Leaving just those words behind, he dashed out the door. Left alone, I savored my husband David's kindness. About 30 minutes after David left, the doorbell rang. I was in the neighborhood for an errand and thought I'd drop by. My 84-year-old mother-in-law Ava often visited our house unexpectedly like this. But our relationship was good, and I always enjoyed our talks, so I always welcomed her visits. It's a shame to drink such fine tea alone. Let Ava enjoy it too. I prepared a cup for her and set out some sweets to entertain her. Just then a courier arrived. Seeing it was a frozen item, I asked Ava, "Please go ahead and start without me," and began to open the package. But it took me longer than expected to organize the freezer. Finally, after sorting it out, I was able to join her for tea. That's when I saw something I never expected. "Ava, stay with me, please!" Ava suddenly collapsed, foaming at the mouth. She quickly became limp, unresponsive to my calls. Her face turned pale and she closed her eyes. "I'm calling an ambulance right now!" 15 minutes later, the paramedics arrived and Ava was rushed to the hospital. Unable to reach my husband, I didn't know what to do and just prayed. Thanks to the doctors' and nurses' efforts, Ava survived. It seemed she might have ingested something harmful, but Ava, regaining consciousness during treatment, couldn't recall eating or drinking anything unusual. Fortunately, she was doing well and could be discharged soon, but she was kept overnight for observation due to her age. "Hello, David? Finally got through to you. There's been a terrible situation here. Apparently something in the food had a strange component and Ava had to be hospitalized." While doing paperwork at the hospital, I called my husband. I imagined he would be worried, but his response was nothing like I expected.
"What? Why are you okay?"
Confused by his words, I asked for clarification. "What do you mean by that?"
Well, as long as you're fine, Sophia, take care of Mom, okay?"
He quickly hung up, as if trying to cover something up. It sounded almost like he wished I had been the one to fall ill. Hoping it was just a misunderstanding, I headed to Ava's room. Yet, in the midst of casual conversation with Ava, a startling truth confronted me. "What do you mean?" As I pieced it together in my mind, I began to suspect my husband. I decided to confirm my suspicions one by one. It's over, isn't it? Realizing my husband's betrayal, I prepared myself for our separation. However, I couldn't let it end like this. I was firmly determined to make him suffer the same agony as Ava did. A week later, my husband returned from his overnight business trip. "Welcome back. You must be tired. Have this and relax." I took his bag at the entrance and offered him a warm cup. He started drinking noisily. "How's it taste?"
It's just like the usual tea."
I peered at his face, which seemed normal. "Strange, isn't it? That was the luxury tea you gave me for my birthday." Hearing this, he violently spat the tea onto the floor.
"What have you done to me?"
He rushed to the kitchen, drinking water and trying to induce vomiting, panicked.
"I'm done for!"
Sweating and looking sickly pale, he begged.
"Call an ambulance!"
He asked for help, but as I silently watched, he tried to call himself. I snatched the phone from him.
"What are you doing?"
"Relax. It's just regular tea I bought earlier." Showing him the tea package, he collapsed on the floor. "You panicked because you knew something suspicious was in the leaves."
"What are you talking about all of a sudden?"
"Basically, you, David, were the one who tampered with it." As I leaned in, his eyes shifted away, clearly agitated.
"I don't know anything about that."
"Don't pretend you don't know. Because of that, Ava collapsed, foaming at the mouth." As I raised my voice, the door of the next room opened.
"David, what are you doing?"
Ava, who had been waiting in the back room, appeared unexpectedly. Her appearance made my husband even more suspicious.
"Mom, it's a misunderstanding. Anyway, how can you be so sure it was the tea? Maybe something else she ate that day caused it."
"I hadn't eaten or drunk anything that day." Ava had been fasting that day for a health checkup. She hadn't eaten anything and barely drank any of the tea, which the doctor said was why her symptoms were mild.
This proves you tampered with the tea. But there's no proof I did it.
Ava sighed heavily, frustrated by her son's desperate excuses.
On my way to Sophia's house, I saw you coming out of the flower shop, carrying a big bag with a brand logo.
This is what I heard in her hospital room, but apparently Ava tried to talk to my husband then, but he just got into a taxi and left. He seemed strange that day, and Ava planned to tell me about it, but then she lost consciousness after drinking the tea. Ava's words made my husband even paler and more restless. I glared at him.
I checked with your company. They said there was no business trip. You were on leave.
At this point, realizing my husband was hiding something, I thoroughly searched his belongings. I found several women's brand items on his card statement that I didn't recall gifting, and I had printed out his computer browsing history.
Look at this! There's a list of shady drug purchases and dark websites.
I confronted him with the browsing history and card statements.
And this store matches the card payments.
By now, his face had turned white, and he was speechless, but I had more evidence.
You've been obsessed with love horoscopes, haven't you?
I found printed horoscope results in the trash when I searched his room. They were crumpled up, perhaps because he didn't like the outcome. But this was the final straw.
Let's see, here it says compatibility reading for David and Olivia. That Olivia, right?
Olivia was the woman he mentioned when he tried to convince me that
my colleague and her husband never go out either. I asked the florist, and they told me you added a message card to the bouquet for your beloved Olivia.
I knew the florist owner, which my husband didn't realize when he shopped there. This is how I suspected something between him and Olivia. Maybe they took time off to go on a trip together. When I checked with your company, she had taken leave at the same time as you.
You went through all that? So you lied about a business trip to go on a romantic getaway. I'm appalled.
I even went to her house using the address from a New Year's card. Her husband John was already suspecting her infidelity due to her heavy makeup and late returns. So Olivia's husband recently installed GPS on her phone. That's how I found your whereabouts. John had installed GPS on his wife's phone but was too scared to check it, fearing he'd confirm her infidelity. But inspired by my confrontation with betrayal, he decided to act, and we teamed up. While I was busy with work, John captured your decisive moment on camera. I scattered photos of their affair across the table. They showed the two hugging and even entering a hotel. Did you plan to kill me, collect the divorce settlement and pension, and start a second life with your lover?
Shut up. Yes, that's right.
My husband, resigning to his fate, began to confess their relationship. They started their affair 10 years ago, around the time he stopped giving me birthday presents.
You're truly the worst. Be thankful I even put up with someone like you.
Instead of apologizing, he became defensive and arrogantly sat on the sofa, crossing his legs. Suddenly, Ava smacked him on the head.
I'm ashamed to have a son like you. I'm disowning you. Come on, I'm your only son. Please reconsider.
I don't even want to see your face. I'm leaving everything to Sophia.
Are you serious?
Abandoned by his mother, he started to tear up.
Sophia, look, I'm sorry. Can we start over?
No way! You've been betraying me for 10 years! I firmly rejected any sympathy for David.
We're getting a divorce, and I'll be claiming a hefty settlement. I apologized. Isn't that enough?
As if it's that easy. Plus, her husband said he's going to storm into your office.
What?
My husband turned silent, breaking into a sweat.
Hey, if you do that, I'll have trouble at work and won't get my full pension. Call him off, please.
I shook my head silently. He looked utterly defeated. I decided to push him further. You know, I had an online tarot reading for David, and it said, life's biggest crisis. It's quite accurate. Maybe I should try it too.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Finally, he deeply apologized, repeatedly bowing his head.
I almost got killed by you. I'm apologizing for that.
I'll consult a lawyer for this matter, including filing a police report. Be prepared.
This can't be happening. Realizing his pleas were futile, he broke down crying, a mess of tears and snot. Ava and I looked down on him coldly. Later, my divorce from David was finalized. I dropped the police report out of consideration for Ava. I received $30,000 in divorce settlement from my ex-husband and $10,000 from Olivia. John, as he promised, confronted their workplace, leading to the spread of the affair. Unable to bear it, David and Olivia resigned. They haven't found new jobs yet and are facing a divorce settlement from John. Their relationship deteriorated, leading to a breakup, and they're now living lonely lives. Meanwhile, I was offered an employment extension, securing my future employment. The birth of my grandchild and their visits on the weekends are now my greatest joy.